Thursday, everybody. Happy New Year. God bless everyone. God bless America. Stay safe this weekend. This commentary is pertaining to Jabbar. He's no longer alive. He can't stand account for his crimes. 14 dead, including himself, makes the 15. I'm also going to bring you commentary coming out of Las Vegas. A person that was found inside of the car burned up. And I'm also going to show you Bourbon Street. Right now, Notre Dame is leading 23-10, fourth quarter. If you are interested in the game, the Sugar Bowl, welcome to the Vault XL. Bourbon Street, everybody. It has reopened.
Rob Krieger has been on Canal Street and through the French Quarter for almost 24 hours now. So once again, we're actually going to go to Rob right now. You have an update that you heard.
Here, we are, I wanted to show you the scene now. It's been cleaned. It's the FBI has processed it. It hasn't been fully reopened yet. We're waiting to hear when that's going to happen. The governor was just down here with state police, as well as the Louisiana National Guardsmen, who, as they walked through these 3 blocks of Bourbon Street to just sort of see the scene before anything is reopened, discussing some of the things that need to happen before the reopening can happen. That includes, the supply trucks, the linens that have to come in through the hotels. There's trash, just trash that normally would need to be taken out anyway. And look, you see this right here, Lucky Dog cart, still in the streets, unmanned. Usually these are rolled away. The operators, they roll these back and forth between the warehouse where they're kept every single day. So that's still here from this. All right, now we're here at Bourbon and Iberville, right on this first block of where all of this happened. And you can kind of see the governor was here. And I want to show you, maybe we can, let's walk over this way, Cole. I want to show you the bollard installation that the mayor was talking about yesterday. And the governor was kind of getting an update on how this is going to work here and what that situation is. So you can see this is where the bollards would go, these small holes here that actually have, they're going to be able to insert the bollards into this during big events. And then when it needs to be a street again, it can be removed and they'll be stored over on the sidewalk in a similar little spot where they'll store those. That way they can block cars from driving through here. So the governor was able to get that sort of look at how that process worked. Cole, we're going to keep walking down this way toward Bourbon and Canal. And I'll show you where all of this started, right? So here, this is the first block. And normally in the past, the bollards really started there. But you can see there's a wedge down here, and we'll walk that way and get to it and show you. We do know that the governor is going to do an update with us around 10 a.m. this morning, giving some additional details. We hope to learn more about the FBI's investigation. He spoke about that investigation, saying, look, it's a full-scale process. They aren't leaving any stone unturned. They're following up on every lead that they get to ensure the safety of everything. But the governor himself says he's going to the Sugar Bowl today. He's prepared. He knows that it's going to be a safe time. Spoke with Superintendent and Chief Ann Kirkpatrick earlier this morning with the NOPD. She says that this is a situation. The investigation is with the FBI, but the NOPD is doing everything they can right now to ensure the safety of the big event today and the safety of the city overall. So let's, as we get down here, I'm going to show you this wedge. So yesterday, Ann Kirkpatrick spoke about it in the press conference. The wedge that's supposed to stop a vehicle from entering into the street, it was deployed, but apparently it wasn't engaged. The wedge wasn't up to stop the car because she said the wedge sometimes gets stuck, and they were worried that it would get stuck and an emergency vehicle wouldn't be able to cross down the street here. That's this wedge right here. So they had deployed it, but they didn't engage it because they were afraid that it would get stuck and then emergency vehicles couldn't come through. That said, here it is. So this is how this would work. It would rise up to this area in a diagonal process right there, and then actually stop that truck from coming through. This is where the truck entered, right here on the corner of Bourbon and Canal, popping up just right on that sidewalk there, coming around an NOPD unit, and then driving down Bourbon 2.5 blocks. So it's just, this is an incredibly unique look at this situation here. We'll take a long look down Bourbon Street as you see the Ivy waste truck there completing the process of sanitizing the street, doing the normal work that they would have to do, like taking out the trash and all the various trash cans and the companies that had trash just from the day and the evening, and then also sanitizing that horrific scene. It just an incredibly somber moment, and one of those moments in reporting, I'll say, it's difficult. It's tough to walk on this street, especially after so many years of walking on this street with friends and family, enjoying this place and knowing what happened here just a little more than 24 hours ago, and the lives lost right here on Bourbon Street because of that terror attack. That said, there are plenty of Louisiana National Guard here. We have state police, we have the NOPD, various other agencies are out here as well, ensuring the safety of this area as that FBI investigation continues. Again, we do have that update we expect from the governor around 10 o'clock this morning. In the meantime, I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Bourbon Street reopened. Street's been clean. People are out and about, walking, running, viewing, still looking. Federal officials, the Airbnb, it is currently being searched, and also the house in Texas has been searched. We're going to show that a little bit later as well. We're also going to go to Vegas, and we're going to listen to the brief press conference pertaining to the information. And you can decide what you believe about both of these incidents, because they are eerily similar. Please take the polls on my community page. I've asked you, Jabbar, there's a lone wolf in New Orleans attack. Yes, no, not sure. 38% says yes, 50% says no, 13% of you said you're not sure. Is he connected to the Trump hotel bombing? Wow, wow, wow. 33%. So 33% of you not sure about the bombing in Las Vegas. As you see, things go on. Things go back to normal. The one thing I didn't like was the guy who was speaking in the press conference pertaining to the Sugar Bowl. His commentary seemed, insensitive, like, oh, it's about fun and games, going to the Sugar Bowl. That's not something I would say at a press conference where you have 15 people dead and 30 or so people injured. I would just say, hello, I'm such and such. Just wanted to let the great people of New Orleans and the world know that we will have the game, today at such and such time. And then you thank the people for patronizing, thank the city for allowing you to have the event. And then you say prayers to the victims, so on and so forth. Don't mention it's fun and games. It's all fun and games, because really, some people, I saw one person in the chat yesterday got offended when they kept talking about the Sugar Bowl during the press conferences and the information relayed pertaining to these attacks. And I understand that. But that's how people view life, is that some people really don't care that these people were mowed down. They don't care about the gunman attacker. They don't care about what happened in Las Vegas. They don't care about what happens in their own neighborhood. As I said, I know people like this. They're numb. They have no empathy. They don't care. And you can best believe there would be some people who would raise hell if the game didn't take place today. Last checking, as I said, Notre Dame is leading by 23, Georgia 10, fourth quarter. Welcome to the Vault Excel. This is live number 1. I will be back after this live to discuss Sebastian Rogers, 10 months missing from Hendersonville, Tennessee. We're going to go back to my community page. That's where I have all the content uploaded. Feel free to mosey on over there and check out all updates. Shooting in New York. Some kids opened fire on some people standing outside. Some type of function going on there. Don't know all the logistics, but 10 people were hurt. It's a crazy world we're in. Once again, Bourbon Street has reopened. Let's get a miniature update of the press conference from FBI. We're going to listen to a bit of court TV. And this scene right here is devastating to watch because it shows you how serious this incident was and how fast this man was going down the street. They're estimating he was traveling about 70 miles per hour. That's very fast down a very narrow street. It's not like he was running down a thoroughfare or a highway at 70 miles an hour. And when you look at the clip out of this court TV segment, it's enough to scare the hell out of you because all of us have walked somewhere, crossed the street, stood in a street that was blocked off at a festival, concert, and you probably gave it no thought that someone could barrel through there in a truck, car, whatever, and mow you down. Court TV is the source, everybody. Let's hear what they have to say pertaining to this debacle. Is this crime related to the crime in Las Vegas? There are too many similarities. Both veterans, both were different type of sergeants. Both were at Fort Bragg. Both went to Afghanistan. Do the math. And both rented cars on Tiro. Very weird.
By reminding the citizens of Louisiana that as you travel around the state, you will see the flags of all state buildings that have passed in honor of those lives that were lost. It is a horrific act of violence. I also think that it's important to remember that what happened yesterday was akin to those who are old enough to remember jigsaw puzzles. And that you take a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle and you empty the box and you've got to start sifting through those pieces. And you want to start, if you're real good, you start at the corners, right? Try to put your corners together. And from yesterday to today, over 1,000 law enforcement agents and officers, men and women, have been poring over countless amounts of data, of videos, of surveillances, interviews, tracking down every possible lead that came to us, whether it was the New Orleans Police Department, the Louisiana State Police, the FBI, or our other federal agencies. Also yesterday, I issued an emergency declaration. That declaration was meant to streamline resources and communications between state, local, and federal partners. And we're seeing the results of it. I also would like to remind everyone that what's going on in the city and the state is twofold. We've got an active criminal investigation going on, while we're also continuing to secure the city in preparation for 3 o'clock kickoff time for the Sugar Bowl. With that, I would also remind those who are in the city that as far as state resources are concerned, we have the Louisiana State Police, the Louisiana National Guard, which was part of that emergency declaration, which allowed us to put an entire MP company on the ground. Those become force multipliers, is what we call that in law enforcement and the military. That helps to add to the resources that we have. Wildlife and Fisheries, the Department of Corrections, DSF, DHS, our Veterans Affairs, our Probation and Parole, all state agencies. Any state agency who has a post-certified officers are here in the city to help secure the city. And so with that, I would like to turn it over to Christopher Rea, who is the Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI's Counter Terrorism Division. Chris.
Thank you, Governor Landry. Good morning. I am FBI's Deputy Assistant Director, Christopher Rea. I'm from our Counterterrorism Division at headquarters. I'm also joined by Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Alethea Duncan, from our New Orleans office, who you heard from yesterday. I'm here to discuss not only the latest investigative information we have here in New Orleans, but also let you know about other investigative activities outside of the state. I first, and most importantly, want to send our deepest condolences to the victims of this horrific attack and their loved ones. 14 innocent victims were killed in this senseless attack, and at least 35 were injured. We cannot ease the grief people in this community and across the nation are feeling at this time, but rest assured, we stand with you and in support of you. All the resources, and I'm going to go into that a little bit later, all the resources of the FBI are being focused on tracking down every piece of evidence, every lead, every interview, every potential lead we've got. While I won't be able to answer all your questions today, my goal is to be as forthcoming as possible with you on what we've uncovered so far. First and foremost, let me be very clear about this point. This was an act of terrorism. It was premeditated and an evil act. This was obviously a critical incident, and with that, lots of information and tips come pouring in from law enforcement, first responders, and the public. We have been aggressively running down these tips and information. As you all know, that takes time, and we will continue to do so until every lead has been followed through on. This investigation is only a little more than 24 hours old. So I ask you to keep in mind that as I go through some of the specifics later. But at this point, currently, and this is another position
Jabbar posted videos to social media hours before the attack. One came in at a little bit after 3 o'clock in the morning before he jumped that curb on Bourbon Street and mowed down 14 people plus 35 others. 14 people dead. 14 people having to be family members notified to tell them that their loved one died on a public street. He says he was motivated by ISIS. We do not know if he was formally inducted, but he became an ISIS fan, member, however you want to word it, until further notice of, affirmation, before summer of 2024. So that's a little ways. Now we have to ask, who knew that he joined ISIS? I believe he posted to Facebook. So nobody called police, feds to say, my friend, brother is going live talking about ISIS. He needs help, mental health, stay woke. They said he went on a public platform, but then Facebook was mentioned. So if he went live on Facebook, did anybody call authorities to say anything about what he talked about? Did he make threats during those live streams or posts? Or did he upload? How did he do it? Go live or he uploaded? Law officials are telling you here they're doing everything they can to investigate. This is still an open investigation. And you're also going to hear that they believe he acted alone. He had no other help putting those IEDs on the street. You're also going to hear that he is seen placing them there. People looked in the coolers, which led authorities to believe that other people were involved, but they have confirmation that he, Mr. Jabbar, is the one that put those devices on the street. Artillery in his car, rental car, and also devices left behind at the Airbnb.
Another fact I want to be clear on. We do not assess at this point that anyone else involved in this attack except for Shamsuddin Jabbar, the subject you've already been briefed on. A little bit about what the FBI is doing. So we are surging people and assets to the area from across the region and across the nation. special agents in multiple field offices across the country have been deployed and are assisting with potential aspects of this investigation and following up on every lead. Additional teams of special agents, professional staff, and victim specialists continue to arrive to provide more investigative power and assistance to the victims and their families. We have also forward deployed a number of our critical incident response group assets, including members of our hostage rescue team, special agent bomb technicians, and crisis management coordinators. In addition, we have deployed more evidence response technicians to continue to process the various scenes that we have. So far, we have received just over 400 tips from the public, and that information is being followed up on both here in New Orleans and across the country. Some of the tips are here in New Orleans, and there are other tips in other states across the country that we are following up on. The FBI team and our law enforcement partners here are also reviewing hundreds of hours of surveillance and other video from both the French Quarter and other locations. As for a timeline, at this point, investigators believe Jabbar picked up the rented F-150 in Houston, Texas on December 30th. He then drove from Houston to New Orleans on the evening of the 31st, and he posted several videos to an online platform proclaiming his support for ISIS. There were 5 videos posted on Jabbar's Facebook account, which are time-stamped beginning at 1:29 a.m. and the last at 3:02 a.m. In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote.
What in the hell does that mean? Believers versus non-believers. What did Mr. Shamsud mean? Because I don't understand what that means. The fact that he attempted to try to unalive his own family to change his mind. Why did he change his mind? I had a guest on last night, an active Muslim man who says that Islam is not about unaliving people and strapping bombs and mass destruction by hand, foot, gun, car. The Quran does not teach that. So feel free to check out that live stream from last night where I have Mr. Rauf Muhammad giving his commentary pertaining to being a Muslim man, how he came to Islam, and that it is against Islam to unalive self and others. That's not what their religion teach from the Quran. Please check out that content from last night. You're going to hear more content in this live stream pertaining to how he came to be a Muslim at a young age. That's why I asked the question the other day, when did he become Muslim, follow ISIS? Because, as I said, with a lot of black men who convert to Islam, they change their name to a Muslim name. And I didn't pay attention to the army jacket that he had on. They had the Jabbar name on there, so forgive that discrepancy yesterday during the live. But I asked that question because some people have a regular English name, but when they decide to become Muslim, they change to a Muslim name. So that's why I was asking that, but I was not focusing on his army jacket at the time when I showed you the picture that he did have Jabbar on his army jacket. Did anybody try to notify officials when he claimed his admiration for ISIS during those posts to Facebook? So I have to ask, were they live streams or were they uploaded? And was anyone up to watch the content? Did anyone try to call the FBI to say, hey, I'm concerned about my friend. I didn't know he rocked like this. I had no idea. Did anyone notify officials that they were concerned about the Facebook posts?
Quote, additionally, he stated he had joined ISIS before this summer. He also provided a will and testament.
Last will and testament he left behind as well. Who did he leave his personal effects to? Who was that man and people who are staying in his house? Do those people have knowledge that Mr. Jabbar was going to exact this crime? No one has been arrested in conjunction to this crime, but I'd like to know the man who was standing outside the house with his hands up on New Year's Day, evening, whatever. Who was that person? What is his relationship to Jabbar? We learned he has three children, I think 2 girls and a son. Not known to be a hellraiser or cause problems. What led this man into the abyss? And one, as I said to Mr. Muhammad last night, why would he want to kill his family? What changed his mind? The fact that he even thought about killing his family is still bad. Because in the end, murder is murder. Whether it was the family, these people on the street. But as Muhammad said, maybe he changed his mind because he realized it wasn't right to kill his family, but he didn't have anything invested in the other people, didn't know them. I'll kill these people. But in the eyes of God, murder is murder. Whether it be your wife, your ex-wives, your children, your mother, sister, your neighbor, or those strangers on Bourbon Street. Very, very sick ideology. And many people do use Islam as a crutch to exact harm and hate against the world, Americans, other people, and it's wrong. And yes, Christians do it as well. Radical Christians, radical Catholics, radical whomever. You cannot say you're a Christian or you believe in God or whomever and you think it's okay to strap a bomb to thyself, because God is the maker of you and he does not condone suicide or homicide. So that's your interpretation of that. But he's not condoning suicide nor homicide. So God didn't tell you to blow up a building, go shoot your neighbors, go shoot into a crowd, go shoot into a public event. You did that. God didn't tell you to do that. But many people will use God, religion as a crutch. As I've always said, they take what they want from the Bible, the Quran, whichsoever, and twist it to their advantage, to suit their needs, their thought process, their ideologies.
FBI and ATF. FBI, we have a couple different scenes at the location. We have released the scene at Bourbon Street. That scene has been released. We also have a scene off of Mandeville address. We are currently searching that scene right now. FBI and ATF agents have secured that house, and that location is being searched for potential evidence.
All right, we do have to hit the pause button on this press conference from the FBI Deputy Director. We'll get you back in. You won't miss a moment of this news conference happening out of New York.
All right, brief break. What was found at the Airbnb? He left behind devices. So obviously he wanted people to know how he felt about the world, himself, his family. What will we hear of? Do they consider those videos a manifesto? Did he leave any type of public writing to why he was going on this destructive path? Who is Mr. Jabbar, or who was he? The fact that someone says he was nice in high school, I wish you all would quit saying that. The man is 42 years old, was 42 years old. 10 to 42 is not the same. 20 to 42 is not the same. 25 to 32 is not the same. 30 to 42 is not the same. Do you see where I'm going? You can't compare a 16-year-old to a 42-year-old man that you haven't probably seen in 30 years. You don't know people. And we hear these stories all the time. She was nice, great co-worker, great dad, great mom, yet they kill people. Plural. So what's your point? There's no point. No such thing. He was a great guy, nice guy.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ashley Wilcott.
And I'm Julia Janae. Thank you for being with us as we follow this breaking news out of New Orleans. Officials are now holding a news conference. Attack on Bourbon Street New Year's morning. It left 15 people dead, 30 others wounded. Let's get back into that news conference where we're listening to the FBI Deputy Director Rhea.
On New Year's morning, Jabbar opened fire after ramming through a blocked-off area of Bourbon Street, used his truck as a weapon to run over the victims. Teams of specially trained victim specialists, again, as I said, are on the ground here in New Orleans, assisting survivors of the attacked and loved ones of the deceased. We do not believe the public is in any danger around any of these locations. 3 phones linked to Jabbar have been recovered, and digital media exploitation is a priority to see what is on the devices and determine if there are any other potential leads. Additionally, we have recovered 2 laptops and are currently reviewing them for any potential leads. Those laptops were recovered at the Mandeville address. Evidence technicians will also be going over the F-150 truck Jabbar was driving. As you know, we recovered an ISIS flag from the vehicle. Jabbar declared his support for the terrorist group on social media, as I stated before, as he made his way to New Orleans. FBI bomb technicians also recovered 2 IEDs in coolers, one from the cross-section of Bourbon and Orland Street, and the second at an intersection approximately 2 blocks away. There were multiple reports of other devices. Those reports turned out to be misinformation or not actual functioning devices. Those are the only 2 devices that we've been able to recover that were functional. Both devices were rendered safe on scene. We did obtain surveillance footage showing Jabbar placing the devices where they were found. 2 other, as I said before, 2 other items of interest were determined not to be IEDs.
Once again, surveillance puts Jabbar at the scene of the placement of the IEDs. People were seen looking and going through them or whatever, which made law officials originally think that there were other cohorts involved, but with further investigation, Jabbar is the one who placed the IEDs on the public streets in the French Quarter.
A little bit about Jabbar. Jabbar himself was born in the United States and is a U.S. military veteran. We are looking in everything in his life. While we have interviewed many people who know Jabbar, we still need to talk to others. Whether you know Jabbar personally, worked with him, served in the military, or saw him in New Orleans or Texas, we need to talk to you. You may not think you have relevant information, but what you know could tie in to one of our investigative leads. Specifically, we want to talk to anyone who was in the French Quarter on New Year's Eve or early on New Year's Day. That includes people spotted near one of the 2 IEDs on Bourbon Street. That includes the IED was inside a cooler, and many people stopped and looked at the cooler and then continued on their way. Let's be clear, again, we do not believe at this point these people are involved in this incident in any way. We want to speak to them as witnesses and want to know what they saw and when. I went down to the crime scene last night. It is very hard to put into words what it looked like and how difficult it was to see. Anyone with information can call us at 1-800-CALL-FBI or send digital tips to fbi.gov/Bourbon Street.
Attention.
Brief intermission. He is believed to be the lone wolf seen on camera putting the IEDs on the public street. Still an open investigation. Airbnb check, 2 laptops left behind. artillery left inside of the rental, rented the car from a Mr. Diaz through the Turo app. And we'll also compare those notes to the Trump bombing as well. And out there, they don't believe that case is related to this case in New Orleans. Take my poll to weigh in if you believe the two are related, or check the box that they are similar. Weigh in.
Early this morning, evidence response teams finished their work at the crime scene. Bourbon Street has been turned over to the city of New Orleans. As you know, there's also an FBI investigation in Las Vegas. We are following up on all potential leads and not ruling everything out. However, at this point, there is no definitive link between the attack here in New Orleans and the one in Las Vegas. And again, I'll preface everything with what I started with in the beginning, which was this is very early in an investigation like this.
No link, but still early on in investigation. Weigh in, take the poll. Is this case in New Orleans connected to the case in Las Vegas? You have to admit, with the information released, as they say, anything can change at any moment. But the one thing that's not going to change is the fact that we have two men who were running about on the same day, getting themselves in gear, buying weapons to travel to places out of state. Both have been in the U.S. Army. Both were different types of sergeants. Both were at Fort Bragg. Both went Afghanistan in 2009. Checkmate. What they are now investigating is to see if they were in the same province in Afghanistan and if they had any interaction naturally at Fort Bragg and thereafter leading up to these events. And they also ordered cars through the Turo app. Very suspicious. And you will hear the chief out there, chief or sheriff, say the same thing. You weigh it how you want, but it is very strange. Two people moving about on a Monday to travel to different parts of the United States to exact a crime. Both rented a car from Turo. Both were in the U.S. Army. Both were in Afghanistan, same time, and both were at Fort Bragg, which is now Fort Liberty, if I'm not mistaken. They changed the name for obvious reasons. All the chaos, turmoil that happened at Fort Bragg over the years, they changed the name, and also was another base out west, I believe they changed the name too. Very scary. So what are we saying? Two random men, black, white, decided to get up on Monday and travel to different parts of the state, renting cars, trucks through Turo app. Both served at the same army base. Both were in Afghanistan same time to commit mass destruction. Both are dead. Checkmate. I'm just saying.
Again, our thoughts and prayers are with the victims of this tragedy and everyone impacted across the country. They remain at the heart of our investigation. I also, although I've only been on the ground here a short time, I also want to express a sincere appreciation for our partners here, which include the U.S. Attorney's Office, HSI, ATF, the New Orleans PD, the Louisiana State Police, the Gush Jackson.
Investigators found guns, improvised explosive device in his rental vehicle. What was he going to do with those items? Did he plan to run through the streets and then go somewhere else? Did he have some type of remote control to detonate those devices that were in the coolers? Same thing with the guy in the truck at Trump Hotel. He had two guns in his possession. You can only shoot yourself one time. Stay woke. Deliberate intent to explode a truck and self and harm people. I believe 7 people were injured, possibly people who stood outside at the time, had no idea the car was loaded with fireworks, gas, and I believe you're going to hear commentary. Well, you will hear commentary from someone who basically is saying it wasn't sophisticated, if I'm saying that correctly. Somebody with his experience. So then you got to ask yourself, then what was his experience when he was in the military? Maybe he was just a lazy bomber. I don't know. You can interpret it however you see fit. So basically, what are you saying? You prefer the more sophisticated bomb? Maybe he was on a budget. Not trying to be funny, but I'm just going by what you're saying. Wasn't that sophisticated? Well, now, maybe that wasn't the point. I just need enough explosives to blow up myself, this car, God forbid, a few people on the outside, and you do the math on why I blew myself up.
Hey, good afternoon. As stated, my name is Joshua Jackson. I am the special agent in charge for the ATF New Orleans Field Division. And ATF's primary mission is preventing, reducing, and solving violent crime throughout the United States and abroad. Solving part is the focus of this investigation. ATF resources that have been brought to bear to the city and to focus with our federal, state, and local partners have been our national response team. We spoke about the scene that's still being processed now. The national response team of ATF is a team of certified fire investigators, certified explosive specialists, fire engineers, electrical engineers. These folks will give us additional investigative leads to help the investigative team identify what happened at the location in Mandeville and identify how that fire started and move the investigation forward from there. Additional resources that ATF has brought to bear into the city. There's our ATF Special Response Team. This is a tactical team capable of handling any sort of enforcement operation. This team is deployed, on set, and ready for the Sugar Bowl today. This team is also made available to the Louisiana State Police and also New Orleans Police Department to assist with any efforts that they may have during this period. Additional resources, as the governor alluded to, he executed executive powers and had an emergency declared to where ATF was able to tap in to Emergency Support Function 13 resources. This allowed us to bring additional explosive detection canines so that we can safely sweep the city and safely sweep the Super Bowl in preparation for the game today. These resources will still be in the city as we lead up to the Super Bowl and through Mardi Gras. These type of ATF resources will be here. The last resources ATF has brought to bear, and probably the most important one, there's our victim witness coordinators. These folks come in and they provide resources to the victims and the family members that have suffered greatly during this tragedy. The entire city hurts, but the victims and the family members are in need of resources and care long after this investigation wraps up. This time next year, it'll be hard for the families and friends who suffered during this event. So our victim witness coordinators are working with the FBI, the city of New Orleans coordinators to provide resources to these folks out here. And as we move forward, ATF will be committed. We will work with the investigative team moving this investigation forward, but also we'll be here to make sure the city is safe and prepared as we move into the Super Bowl. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our mayor of this great city, New Orleans. Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much.
You see, the black lady is not speaking. The one they sent down or to the podium originally, local FBI, the black lady, because they're upset at her saying it wasn't a terror attack. Many people raising hell, social media. She should be removed, blah, blah, blah. The point is, as they always say, sometimes it's best not to repeat things without having clarification. So they have made mistakes in what they have said pertaining to Jabbar and this debacle. First, it wasn't a terror attack. Then it was, you had 3 people involved. You had the senator raising hell about other people involved. Better not be a cover-up. I'm going to raise hell if you don't tell the truth, which led people to think that there was something else going on, that he knew something. Now we have this here. He's allegedly a lone wolf, no other cohorts. He's seen at various places placing the IEDs in the French Quarter. This is why you have to be careful with the information you give. This is why people are always going on and on about the news, fake news, and oh, they're reporting things wrong. The point is, everything is a version until it's verified. Just like if somebody came and gave you an account. Yeah, I saw a white truck go by. It looks like a Mexican was in it. It looked like a black guy was in it. Well, they got to verify it. That's why you don't put the information out until you verify it. This is why the governor here was trying to tell everybody, wait, let us gather everything bit by bit, then we will share with you. We don't have a problem sharing with the media, but give us time. And that's what's wrong with everybody. You get so riled up because you don't know what you think you should know. Then you get mad when they tell you something that is inaccurate. So that's why the governor said, let us gather the information, then we will share it with the public. Because now 2 mistakes have already been rendered. He had help. And then other people, were placing the devices on the street. Now we find out that's not true. So it is what it is. As far as ISIS, we don't know yet if he had direct contact with someone abroad. We do hear that he went to Egypt. What was he doing in Egypt? Who did he meet in Egypt? Don't know. Once again, you have to wait on that information. But he was inspired by ISIS. That is what's being said from law officials pertaining to his Facebook posts.
So much. All right, we're going to squeeze in a break right now. Of course, we're going to hit the pause button. When we come back, we will hear from the mayor of New Orleans. Keep it here on Court TV.
Brief intermission. What do you think so far with the handling of this case in New Orleans? I need to put that on a poll as well. Do you think they're doing a good job? Final score of the Sugar Bowl. Notre Dame 23, Georgia 10. Upcoming tonight, Gator Bowl, Duke and Ole Miss at 8 p.m. And tomorrow, North Texas plays Texas State and Minnesota at Virginia Tech, 7:30. North Texas, Texas State tomorrow, 4 p.m. If you are interested in watching college ball. Sadly, Tennessee didn't get to go far this year. Far enough, rather, but that's okay. Things happen.
To Court TV Live, we're continuing to follow breaking developments in the deadly terror attack in New Orleans that left 15 people dead. You are watching this disturbing video from TMX showing the truck speeding down the street. Let's show it again, narrowly missing one woman. Julia, when we first watched this just a moment ago, look at her. And to me, that's just a hair. It could have been a very different outcome.
The utter chaos and confusion that had to...
If you see how narrow this street is, sidewalk, narrow street, and another strip of a sidewalk barely, there's no room. That's just my hands on the screen. Look how small that is. Now imagine being down there when that truck was barreling down the road. That girl is lucky to be alive with the red hair. She barely missed that truck. Barely. And let me tell you, people behave very strangely during traumatic situations. You would have a person stupid enough to stand there and flag him down and tell him to stop. I'm just saying. I have seen crazy things from video footage of crazy events. And I'm telling you, there would be somebody who would have stood there and tried to tell him to stop. And he would have mowed their ass right on down. Scary.
had to have been happening in their minds in that moment, wondering why this car is not stopping.
Look at that.
Why it's barreling down a street full of people, and we know so tragic.
Let's look at that again.
Start streaming Scripps
1
News
second.
today.
Sorry about that. Goes back so fast.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. We're continuing to follow breaking developments in the deadly terror attack in New Orleans that left 15 people dead. You are watching this disturbing video from TMX showing the truck speeding down the street. Let's show it again. Narrowly missing one woman. Julia, when we first watched this just a moment ago, look at her. To me, that's just a hair.
Right.
It could have been a very different outcome.
The utter chaos and confusion that had to have been happening in their minds in that moment, wondering why this car is not stopping, why it's barreling down a street full of people, and we know so tragically 14 people killed, 30 injured, and the suspect killed by police.
That's right. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but just the smartness of everybody actually getting inside the building completely off the sidewalk and the street.
Right. Not trying to film. Pull your phone out.
I do want to get you back into the news conference
2.5 blocks.
Now, the mayor of New Orleans, LaToya Cantrell, addressing the public in the wake of this tragedy.
Well,
it was said they believe he was going at about
to remember jigsaw puzzles.
He was going about 70 miles an hour and 2.5 blocks, I guess, before he crashed into that machinery, where he jumped out and started firing at law officials, and then he was shot himself dead. Shamsuddin Jabbar.
And that you take a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle and you empty the box and you've got...
It jumped back. Sorry about that.
With that, I'm going to turn...
Show it again. Narrowly missing one woman. Julia, when we first watched this just a moment ago, look at her. To me, that's just a hair. It could have been a very different outcome.
The utter chaos and confusion that had to have been happening in their minds in that moment, wondering why this car is not stopping, why it's barreling down a street full of people, and we know so tragically 14 people killed, 30 injured, and the suspect killed by police.
That's right. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but just the smartness of everybody actually getting inside the building completely.
Well, that one guy was standing there looking. Look at him. He's still standing there. Look at him.
Back into the
Look at that dodo bird. He didn't leave.
Now, the mayor of New Orleans, LaToya Cantrell, addressing the public in the wake of this tragedy.
Well, good morning once again. And I just
could have got on the sidewalk.
Just echo my thank yous to the unified command of our law enforcement partners and at every single level, federal, state, and governor. Governor, thank you for your partnership. Thank you. I also want to thank the residents and the visitors of the city of New Orleans for your patience, for your support, and most of all, your prayers. Our heart and prayers continue to go out to the victims' families. And the city of New Orleans, we're resilient. And as I stated on yesterday, my focus in terms of a priority has been on our victims. As you heard, that yes, the FBI was able to clear Bourbon Street. And what that meant also for me in this city was that we were able to remove our victims, identify them, and notify their families. Real reverence. They mattered, the families matter, and matter to the city of New Orleans. In addition to that, I want to just thank again our federal partners in Washington, listening to my plea personally for the additional resources to allow for the scene to be cleared, and again, attending to our victims. I walked by each one, and I did the sign of cross in my own way, because reverence, again, is important. So while we have been able to have Bourbon Street returned back to the city of New Orleans, and the due diligence has been done, that then allowed me to give the go-ahead to begin the cleaning of Bourbon Street. That started happening in the morning about 2 a.m. It was completed before 8 a.m. this morning. But that has really set the tone, I would say. And with the confidence that I have in the law enforcement partners, all of the resources that have been activated, how we have made sure that safety continues to be our top priority, how our assets have been deployed strategically, again, for the safety and the protection of our visitors and our residents in the city. And because of that,
You will never.
Take the poll. Is FBI properly investigating New Orleans attack? Yes, no, not sure. Mistakes were made. The better now. Take the poll.
the confidence is there to reopen Bourbon Street to the public prior to game time today. The first order will be to allow for vendors to come in and service the businesses. That's important in order for us to stand up activation, as you know, Governor. And so with that, I want to reassure the public that the city of New Orleans is not only ready for game day today, but we're ready to continue to host large-scale events in our city because we are built to host at every single turn. I want to, again, thank all of those who responded to the FBI's call for information and tips. As you heard, that has been useful. Continue to do that. The investigation is still active and absolutely under the FBI's leadership. We will continue to operate and cooperate as we always have. So I want to also thank all of our partners for the added resources for victim and crisis management. We know that that's, again, important. Working with our partner, the Greater New Orleans Foundation, we have set up a fund for our victims' families for not only today, but into the future. As you heard, this is going to be a long process for our people. So with that, City of New Orleans, and with all of my confidence, we are ready. And we could not get here again without the unified presence, support, and cooperation. We are stronger together. And I want to say again, thank you so much. Thank you, Governor. So once again, the governor would like me to reiterate that Bourbon Street will be prepared for full activation before game time today. We know 3 p.m., so we're working towards 2:30 p.m. But prior to game time, the kickoff, Bourbon Street will be restored. So we're hard at work now. Our teams are now, and of course, working with our business community to serve our public and serve our residents and our visitors alike. Okay.
Brief intermission. Wow, wow, wow. Bourbon Street reopened. Take the poll. Should Bourbon Street and other streets have been reopened so soon? Take the poll, everybody. Did they thoroughly investigate, or do you feel like they're thoroughly investigating this case, the FBI? Were mistakes made? Take the poll. All righty, that content is over. I'm gonna go to the next video. Lordy, 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 child. Weigh in. What do you think about the information at hand pertaining to this case? Do you believe others are involved? Do you believe mistakes were made? Do you believe the FBI is doing a better job? Should Bourbon Street have been reopened? Should other streets have been reopened? Would you go to New Orleans? Would you go there after this incident? How do you feel about open spaces now? walking on streets to shop, closed off streets to gather, concerts, markets, open concerts, outdoor concerts. Have we become too comfortable being outside, open venues, parks? But we know that anything can happen at any given moment. On your way to work, leaving the house, in traffic, at your job, at school, at church, doesn't really matter. People are not well. Hello, Joy. How are you, sweetheart? Good to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you're feeling better, sweetheart. Want you to know I'm praying for you. So glad you joined us. Thank you, baby. Take the poll, everybody. Is the FBI properly investigating the New Orleans attack? Jabbar's assumed lone wolf in New Orleans attack. Yes, no, not sure. 18 votes so far. 33% yes, 56% no, 11% not sure. Wow. New Orleans attack allegedly not connected to Trump hotel bombing. Your options are yes, no, not sure, seems strange, very similar. Yes, 0%, no, 6%. 22%, you're not sure. 72% of you said it is very strange and similar. Similarities. Let's go to Fox News and get the rundown on the latest developments pertaining to Mr. Jabbar and this diabolical case. Wow. Oh, Lord have mercy. I don't know what to say. It just seems like, what's the old saying? When it rains, it pours? Absolutely. Just rain, honey. Rain. I brought you information to Bourbon Street. It has reopened. News reporter took you on a quick tour of Bourbon Street, show you where the incident took place, where Mr. Jabbar jumped the curb. That would be a scary situation to be in. Very scary. I can't find where I was. Won't let me in. And these devices are so horrible today. Like, what is going on? Go to my community page. All this content that you're hearing during this live stream is on my community page. Here are the polls. So if you need verification for anything I've discussed, go to my community page. 10 people hurt in a shooting in New York. Young people goofing off, showing out. They were at some type of venue, and there was a shooting. Neighbors shocked at this information pertaining to Mr. Jabbar.
Suspect in the deadly attack in New Orleans, the FBI labeling the horrific incident an evil act of terrorism. They no longer believe that other people are involved. Authorities also recovered two functional IEDs in the area.
I've been venting yesterday and today.
Coolers.
Join the club.
Also revealed that they do not believe there is a link between the New Orleans attack and the Cybertruck explosion that happened outside of Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. They are, however, investigating whether that incident is also an act of terror. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Molly Line. Joining me, Dagan McDowell, Fox Business anchor and co-host of The Bottom Line on Fox Business. Cheryl Casoni, Fox Business anchor and host of American Dream Home on Fox Business. And Rebecca Heinrichs, Hudson Institute Senior Fellow, and Paul Morrow, Fox News contributor, attorney, founder of OpsDesk.org, and retired NYPD inspector. The FBI also revealing that the terror suspect declared his support for ISIS on videos posted online just hours before the deadly rampage.
He posted several videos to an online platform proclaiming his support for ISIS. There were 5 videos posted on Jabbar's Facebook account, which are time-stamped beginning at 1:29 a.m. and the last at 3:02 a.m. In the first video, Jabbar explains he originally planned to harm his family and friends, but was concerned the news headlines would not focus on the, quote, war between the believers and the disbelievers, end quote. Additionally, he stated he had joined ISIS before this summer. He also provided a will and testament.
Brooke Taylor is in Houston with the latest on all of it. Brooke.
Hi, Molly. We just got a rare look inside the trailer where he was living, and we actually got to walk around. You could see a metal fence right outside of that trailer, just completely ripped off from where the FBI and SWAT teams raided. I want to get right to that video to show you because, again, really a rare look inside since no one was living there. Neighbors say that he lived there for about a year. His mom lived here at some period. Neighbor told us that white Ford pickup truck used in the attack, well, he actually saw it himself parked outside here for one night outside of the. I also managed to peek through the window where a mess could be seen inside, furniture still scattered around. We also saw chickens and sheep wandering around the property. We spoke to a neighbor next door. He said this is a close-knit Muslim community. There is a mosque about a minute away. He said that he knew Jabbar practices faith and regularly, but he told us he was shocked to see this news, didn't see him as radicalized. Well, according to the FBI, he's a U.S. citizen from Texas, served in the Army between 2007 and 2015 as a human resource and IT specialist. Then he stayed in the Army Reserve as an IT specialist until 2020 before he was honorably discharged. The New York Post was able to actually talk to his brother. He told him that Jabbar converted to Islam when he was younger. He blames radicalization. Authorities say he was inspired. ISIS expressed a desire to kill, as you just heard from there, and found an ISIS flag in the car.
He converted to Islam when he was younger. That's why I asked the question, is this his government name? So what is younger? 15, 20, 22, 16, what, 12? Somebody tried to say in the chat his parents are from Syria. I don't know who is what is what. But as I said, he sounded African-American to me in that 2020 video. And as I said, many black men, if he's indeed black, do convert to Islam, practice being a Muslim, and they change their government name. That's why I asked that question. Was he born with that name? Or did he take on the name? Is that his actual government name on his birth certificate? You hear the brother has spoken, he converted to Islam. Because one would assume if you were born with that name, which is a Muslim name, you would be practicing Islam as a child, living in a household with your parents.
In 2020, he posted a YouTube video pitching himself as a real estate agent in the Houston area, claiming his military background would help.
I learned the meaning of great service and what it means to be responsive and take everything seriously, dotting I's and crossing T's to make sure that things go off without a hitch. So I've taken...
Didn't mean to break that up, but I want to show you something. Look at the man in that photograph. And ask yourself what happened from 2020 to here. What happened? What is the date of the photo with the beard? You see the changes? Lighter beard, fuller beard, lighter beard, fuller beard. Look a little smaller there in the face, perhaps. Gained a little weight. Looks like in that picture. Fuller beard. Who is this guy versus that guy? Night. Or shall I say, day, night. day, night. What happened to Shamsuddin Jabbar? What led him down this dark path? What happened to this guy in this nice office, nice suit? Looks like he's well manicured, beard trimmed up, a little bit of facial hair, nice shirt, jacket. What happened from 2020 up until early Wednesday morning, January 1st, 2025? Weigh in. Bad marriage, finances. We hear that he was financially strapped, living in a trailer in a Muslim community, chickens, goats, and things running around the property, sheep. Very strange. From this person here to how he was living in that trailer. Say, whoa.
Taking those skills and apply them to my career as a real estate agent, where I feel like what really sets me apart from other agents is my ability to be able to, one, be a fierce negotiator.
And court records show that he was having big money troubles. He was divorced twice. We read through those court documents, and he details not being able to pay for his house and being in debt, and this real estate career not working out. That neighbor that we spoke to says that he had 2 daughters and also a young son who he saw playing around and riding his bike here. And again, he said he lived here for about a year, Molly.
Brooke Taylor there, where the suspect in this case was living. And I want to highlight some of the things we just learned out of this press conference. Christopher Rea, the FBI Deputy Assistant Director, really clarifying some key things. That the suspect in this case, in the vehicle ramming attack, acted alone, that they do not believe there is a swath of suspects or a massive manhunt now underway, that this individual acted alone. Also, very important, they say they have surveillance that shows Jabbar placing items there around the French Quarter.
So
the items
beautiful there.
specifically IEDs. So he placed them. There was not another person, another suspect that placed these items. They did acknowledge there were folks there enjoying the evening that stopped to look at some of these things, that spotted the cooler where the device had been concealed, but then continued on their way. The FBI still would like to speak with people that were there in the French Quarter in those late night, early morning hours, anyone who interacted with Jabbar, anyone who may have seen something that could be helpful to their investigation in the week.
Imagine looking in there and something had exploded in your face, blew your face, chest off, fingers, arms. They won't. So why weren't they detonated? Just asking. Who are the people staying in his house? How does he know them? They live in the community. They need a place to stay. Who are the people at that trailer? What's going to happen to the trailer? Who did he leave his business to? Personal effects, bank account. Did he have any money in the bank account? What was he worth at the time of death? Lots of questions. How do you guys feel knowing he wanted them dead? Family members dead. Who all did he want dead? Let me clarify that. Who all did he want deceased but changed his mind to go down here to Bourbon Street and unalive these people? When you stand down here on Canal Street, if you ever get the opportunity, it is a beautiful view. Every time I watch this content, it takes me back to the summer of 2021 when I was there, the month of July. And I just think about how amazed I was when I was there, looking up at all these pretty buildings, ornate buildings, very, nice and tall, soft color buildings, white, very ornate, tall palm trees. It's what I told Mary, it's like being in Candyland. It just didn't even seem real. Looking at Canal Street, it's absolutely gorgeous. Also, the other streets, such as Bourbon Street, the other streets, close-knit. The streets are very small. And that's why he was able to wreak havoc, because the streets are so small and people walking in them on the sidewalks. It is a wrecking ball because it's so small. And you got to try to dodge, get out of the way as quick as you can. And sadly, 14 people plus 30 plus others were not so fortunate. Prayers for those who are in the hospital. I will play you an update pertaining to the status of those individuals. But once again, if you ever get a chance to go to New Orleans, just stand on the corner. Because I believe where they were, Bourbon Street, and that Walgreens sits right there at that corner where he jumped the curb. For some reason, I'm thinking I was standing on one of those corners. I can't remember if it was Walgreens or another store. It was raining. We all were standing, a bunch of us and strangers were standing under that awning, waiting for the rain to stop. And we stood facing Canal Street. I remember that like it was yesterday. So it is kind of hard for me to even just look at the pictures of the French Quarter and Canal Street, knowing how beautiful it is down there, how peaceful it was, being on the streets, eating, drinking. Everybody was so friendly. And then to have this happen just shows you that people are truly unstable. And now we have to ask the ultimate question: what did he mean in his post about believers and non-believers, the reason why he didn't kill his family, and why did he travel to New Orleans? Because Houston is a big city itself. And I refuse to believe that there were no activities transpiring on New Year's Eve in Houston or any of the suburbs, Dallas, Texas. You had all of Texas to mow people down, just saying. Why did he choose New Orleans? Some of you said because of Sin City. I don't know. We need to hear the Facebook posts to get an idea of, number one, what led to his unraveling. Why was he living in that trailer? Could he not afford anywhere else to live in Texas? How did he look at the time of death? Had he been dating anybody? Any other trouble with the law? Who has he been talking to? Social media, underground groups, in the city, out the city, and also abroad. What is his blueprint?
Weeks in the months ahead. I want to bring in Paul Morrow now. Paul, you've been with us all throughout the day yesterday and today, and finally some clarity as to where this investigation is headed. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this is some of the stuff you and I speculated about yesterday, that it didn't seem like the information relative to accomplices was very hard, and now that's gone away completely. Now, they seem to have gotten their act together down there in New Orleans regarding the messaging, right? I mean, this was a much better press conference. You had the governor there who was leading it, and then we got good, hard information from the Counterterrorism Bureau of the FBI. What's salient, as you said, is the fact that as of now, they're not looking for any active accomplices. That means they have the two devices they have the genesis of the two devices solidly. He placed them. The other thing now is they're going to be doing very heavy digital. They're going to be going through those devices. It sounds the way they said it, like they're into those devices, which means before long, we'll get a good idea of how he was radicalized.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paul. We want to go back to Ted Williams, who's on the ground there. We're so grateful that he was able to get there and to bring us insight. Perhaps this is a bit of a relief. The Sugar Bowl goes on today, this afternoon, and now we know there's not accomplices out there on the loose, which may have been a major concern for folks in the area. Ted, to you.
3 phones recovered, 2 IEDs recovered at the scene. Jabbar believed to be the lone wolf, no accomplices. Facebook posts explaining what he was going through in life. Will they reveal those Facebook posts to the public at some point? Or anytime soon? Should they play those Facebook posts? Naturally, he was filming it in the dark on his journey from Texas to New Orleans, so you cannot see Mr. Jabbar in the video. He's just talking to the camera. How does his family feel knowing he is the attacker? Did they notice anything strange or peculiar about his behavior, speech? How do they feel knowing he wanted to murder them? And as I said in my commentary before, that's a hard pill to digest. Knowing that you were hanging around somebody and being around somebody related to somebody, ex-related to somebody who wanted you dead, who felt offended by you by some way, form, or fashion. That's a lot to carry around. It's one thing to know that somebody don't like you. It's one thing to know that somebody hates you. But to know that they wanted to unalive you but changed their mind and chose to go here, jump a curb, Walgreens, and mow down 40-something people, killing 14. That's a heavy burden to carry. Because you know what it says in the back of this person's mind? It was either us or us or them. Wow, that's deep.
A major relief that they are not accomplices and that this guy acted alone, Molly. I can tell you, the city is beginning to open up. As the governor said, they cannot live in fear. And one of the things that I was happy that the government was able to say, because we've been wondering about it, he said formally that this was an act of terrorism. And I was happy that that came out. I think people in this city were wondering just what was going on. And I think this press conference clarified a great deal of what was going on. I've always said that an investigation is like a puzzle, and you're trying to put it together. And what you found here was the FBI, the federal agents, the state and local agents, they all worked together to put this puzzle together to be able to tell us, the public now, that that this man acted alone, that he was a lone wolf.
Ted, what's your feeling on Bourbon Street reopening so swiftly and that area getting back to normal so quickly after this horrific attack?
You know, Molly, I think that people have to pick up their lives. Sadly, 14 souls lost their life here in this area of Bourbon Street. But I think the mayor and the city is right. They need to reopen the city at this time. They have done all of the crime scene work that they needed to do. And so I think it's the right and proper decision.
The other thing I wonder about it, it was shocking to me that a vehicle could get onto Bourbon Street on such a high-profile night, much less at all ever. In the weeks ahead, do you think this will be something that the community will wrangle with?
Yeah, the community clearly will wrangle with it, there's no doubt about it, Molly, but I think that when you look at a major metropolitan city like this, and when you look at Canal Street and Bourbon Street, these are major outlets in the city, so I think it's right and proper that they are open. But what we found was that these bodegas were not up, that these barriers were not in place. And that is certainly something that they're going to have to look at, because this killer was able to go around these barriers and go up on the sidewalk, and only because they had patrol cars parked there. That should have never happened. That was a mistake. I think they've admitted it was a mistake, and they're going to have to do something about it in the future.
Ted Williams, thank you for getting there. Thank you for your unique perspective from right there on the ground. We appreciate it, Ted Williams. Dagan, we finally have a little bit of clarity now as to what actually occurred here and who's really responsible.
We do, and what was important was to have a forceful presence and voice from the FBI finally. After initially the special agent in charge from the FBI, it was roughly 3 hours after the attack, I think, yesterday, Paul, and if I'm wrong, the woman got up there and said this is not a terrorist attack, even though there was an ISIS flag in the truck. But it was important to hear from Christopher Rea, anybody attending the Sugar Bowl, but really the families of the victims and the survivors of this, about we're on it. Here's what we know. And we will keep you up to date on anything that we find out. No longer other suspects involved in this attack. I go on. So his presence and the way he spoke to the American people was of critical importance. In terms of the digital footprint, what will be interesting, so there are the videos, just 5 alone on the terrorist
Facebook page in just a couple of hours, about an hour and a half. 3 phones recovered, 2 laptops were recovered. But in this day and age, following a digital footprint has become so much more difficult because communications apps and devices, operating systems are much more heavily encrypted than they were just a couple of years ago. So that becomes more difficult. And one thing we haven't really talked about much, this terrorist, this dead murderer, worked for Deloitte.
Yes, I told you all that.
He worked at Ernst & Young and Accenture, and he was still employed, as far as we know, at Deloitte. He started there in 2021. So there is a corporate footprint that the FBI and all the other investigators will have to deal with.
I'm very glad she mentioned that. I brought you that information yesterday at the beginning of my live. Feel free to check out that live stream earlier. Deloitte, D-E-L-O-I-T-T-E, a London-based company, very prominent company dealing with finances, money, so on and so forth. It's been around a very long time, this company. So now this puts a new spin on the finance situations and the reasons why he did this crime. If he was having so much trouble financially, he worked for a very prominent company. I brought you the stats pertaining to salaries at this company, Deloitte. And trust me, we're not talking about $16 an hour, if you get my drift. The first starting salaries was about at $82,000, $86,000, up to $200 plus, $210,000. What box did he fall in with his expertise? Now, Deloitte gave a statement pertaining to Mr. Jabbar, kind of damn near dissing him like he was just entry level. Nobody really cares. People feel like it don't matter. He worked there. You know, don't try to scoot away from the fact that, you know, he killed these people. We know what he did was wrong, but the point is he did work for you. And that's all, it always goes back to what I always say. You don't know people. So dissing yourself now, it's like null and void. Did you see signs that something was wrong with him? I do believe many veterans have worked for this company. They do hire veterans. It's a very competitive company. Let me see what Deloitte had to say. Hold on one second. Let me pull this up for you guys. Hope you all are well. Like, share, subscribe. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BeGanji, 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Deloitte responded to claims about a ransomware attack in Deloitte, UK. Okay. Saying its systems were not impacted and only one client system was involved. I don't know if that's from the past. It said Deloitte confirmed that New Orleans terror suspect Shamsuddin Jabbar had been on staff since 2021. And once again, Mr. Jabbar recently joined ISIS before summer of 2024. Don't know the exact month and date. It says, Army veteran who officials say carried out the terrorist attack at New Year's celebration in New Orleans Wednesday worked with the consulting firm Deloitte, earning about $10,000 a month. Bingo card. As I just told you, this ain't no okey doke type company. This ain't McDonald's. This ain't the Dollar General. You're talking about $120,000 he made. He's been there since 21. That's why it's always good to get a receipt. So now we got to ask ourselves, as Mr. Muhammad said on my live stream last night, please check out that live, everything being portrayed about Muhammad is negative. He had problems, bad divorce, financial issues, but yet nobody saying anything nasty about him as far as his demeanor, his disposition. So now you got to ask the question, what did he mean in that Facebook post? I didn't kill my family because I wanted people to understand the believers versus the unbelievers. So what was really going on with him? because $120,000 or so a year, naturally taxes have to come out, but it's still more than what the average American makes. Why was he living in a trailer? Why was he living in a place where sheep and chickens were running around? I'm just saying. Somebody out here knows something. So was he a part of an underground group, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, another group? Who has he been talking to? He had 3 phones, very suspect. 2 phones is one thing. 3, what do you need 3 phones for? Come on. Working for a corporate company? You have much experience, been in the military a while, only had a driving infraction and a petty theft. Don't know what the petty theft charge was. Both were misdemeanors. Who was this man? This company says he worked for them. $10,000 a month. They said he served in a staff level role since being hired in 2021 and that the company was doing all it could to assist authorities. We are shocked to hear of reports today that the individual identified as a suspect had any association with our firm. Deloitte said in a statement to Fox Business on Wednesday evening, the named individual served in a staff level role since being hired in 2021. I don't even know what the hell that means. The firm added, like everyone, we are outraged by this shameful and senseless act of violence and are doing all we can to assist authorities in their investigations. So once again, Mr. Jabbar has been identified as the man who drove through a crowd on Bourbon Street early New Year's Day. They're saying killing 15 people, but allegedly he is a part of the 15, injuring dozens of others. He died on the scene from the attack. He is a U.S.-born citizen who is from and lived in Texas, or it says in this article, lived in Texas. Despite Jabbar's well-paid position at Deloitte, he had financial woes, according to USA Today. The outlet reported that court documents from his second divorce in 2022 showed Jabbar's $120 base salary at Deloitte, and the suspect warned his attorney that he was in danger of losing his home. So is that why he was at the trailer living? He lost his house. Time is of the essence, Jabbar wrote his attorney in an email January 2022. According to the report, I cannot afford the house payment. It is past due in excess of $27,000 and in danger of foreclosure if we delay settling the divorce. So maybe he didn't want a divorce because settling divorce means he had to pay out or had to pay alimony. Was he paying alimony at the time of death? Was he paying child support? Someone in the chat says his children are grown, but then a neighbor says there was a little boy riding around. So perhaps the little boy is by the last wife, second wife, and maybe he had to pay her alimony, child support. Don't know. Somebody bring the queen a receipt to what he had to pay. And is this why he went on this rampage and joined the ISIS and he lost his damn mind? Needed somebody to blame. Well, I'll join. They understand. The American way is eating my pocketbook up. Stay woke. I'm confused. But it's not for me to understand, right? Because it's wrong, no matter what. Many people suffer financially, make bad choices, investments, have businesses that fail. We learned he was in real estate. We learned now he had a $120,000 salary, and yet he decides to mow some people down on a public damn street. Why? Why? He could have got a cheap apartment somewhere in Houston or outside of Houston, got him a 1-bedroom, paid his debts off, caught his monies up, and then when he got financially secure again, go back out and get you a nice little house, nice little cottage somewhere. Don't have to be $500,000 house. This is what I said to Mary. A lot of people get in over their head getting fancy homes, and then they start spending, acquiring debt, credit card debt, trying to keep up with the Joneses, when, wearing Prada, Gucci, all that shit. Next thing you know, you're broke. $27,000. Now you got to ask yourself, what was his mortgage? $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month, $8,000 a month? How many months or years behind was he in his mortgage payments? Very interesting. $120,000 base salary at Deloitte. $27,000. In danger of losing his foreclosure if we delay settling the divorce. So really he was trying to sell it, rather, excuse me. I'm confused at what was going on. Somebody bring a receipt. Maybe one of these wives will tell us what was going on in the last marriage and why this man was living in a trailer with chickens and shit, because I'm confused. Somebody help the queen out.
Deal with as well, which actually makes it easier for them.
Yeah, the videos that he made on the way to the attack scene is almost a hallmark that we've seen in prior attacks, ISIS and Rebecca.
Right, and I want to touch on something that Dagan said too. The digital footprint is really important because that's where he was really telegraphing his radicalization. And this is where we see that though he may not have been directed by ISIS, as we just learned, clearly he was inspired by ISIS. Just this tactic of the terrorist attack, using a vehicle to maximize death, and then stepping out and beginning to shoot innocent bystanders in order to have death by cop. We saw that in Spain, we saw that in France, we saw that in Germany, we've seen that in England. So this is quintessentially an ISIS tactic.
Yeah, and a big question will be if investigators prior to this had missed any red flags. That'll be something that investigators are going to want to get to the bottom of.
And that's the digital footprint that, again, to Dagan's point, is becoming more and more difficult to crack in cases like this. That's why messaging apps like WhatsApp have become so popular, because of the encryption in the app. But I want to go back to something that Ted Williams actually said to you about the barriers. Those steel bollards were actually removed to be repaired because the Super Bowl is coming up on February 9th. And so normally they would be in place around Bourbon Street, but that's why they put the vehicles in place. And then he was able to go around and go onto the sidewalk. And we also know that we've learned now from this press conference that he was on the ground and he was doing surveillance. That's one issue. The other is the portrait of this individual, which has really come to light. And the Wall Street Journal doing a big deep dive this morning on him. And it talks about not just the two divorces, but also his financial troubles, his emotional vulnerability. You have to consider that if someone is going to be open to being radicalized by ISIS or inspired by ISIS. We'll find that out in the days to come. But he put into a court document that he was about $27 behind on his home payment. He was sitting on tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt. There was restraining orders between himself and his second wife.
Okay.
At one point, those are all in court filings that have now been unearthed. So when the details come up about this individual, you have to look at the whole picture, and it's disturbing.
Okay.
Absolutely. And experts often talk about triggering things that send people towards.
Second divorce, $27,000 behind in mortgage payments. Emails to the lawyer, I'm trying to settle this divorce, or I'm going to lose my house. What the hell was going on? $120,000 base salary, divorce, restraining orders, his last wife. Wanted to kill these people, but changed his mind and killed these other people instead. I want you to think about that now. Join ISIS before 2024, before the summer of 2024. Why ISIS? Why not just go off the grid? I don't know. But killing yourself, wanting to kill your family, then killing these innocent people because shit wasn't right with you. Well, you know what? Shit ain't right with a lot of us. A lot of us are unhappy, lonely, miserable too. Want more, want a better life, need money, need a new house, new car, new shoes. Fuck. Join the club. Me. Everybody wants something better. Everybody wants out. Trust me. I done said it before in this live stream. I could walk away and change my whole name, ride a train like a hobo. Check on out my damn self. But I ain't getting ready to kill Queen, and I ain't getting ready to go out here and catch no damn charge trying to kill another person. Because I'm a big girl and I like big things. Meaning, I don't want a little cell. And I don't want to be cooped up with a bunch of stinky crackheads and meth heads in no damn jail and prison. Checkmate. You got to love yourself. Even in your worst moment, you got to love yourself, or you'll end up like this joker. Bitter. Walking around snapping mad at everybody. I have my moments too. I look at people with just, I could spit fire. Because people are so fucking ignorant. But that's the point. I don't want to be so mad to where I get on their level. I start acting like them clowns. Because that's what happens when you become bitter. You start to mimic the people that you dislike. Checkmate. Come on with it, Queen. Preach. You become like that. That's why I keep telling you, get in the wrong environment, you take in the wrong kind of people, you will end up being just like the miserable bats. That's why you got to dust yourself off. Take tiny baby steps. Think of self first. If you got to be selfish and you think of yourself, trust me, there will come a day you won't think about them folks who you think harmed you, wronged you, spited you. The electric company, the bank, the credit card, whoever. Tighten your shit and get it together. That's why sometimes you got to go and just do you and be the you and check yourself. You know you're in a bad way, you feel in a bad way, you don't want to talk to nobody, you don't think you're going to have anything positive to say, then you just do you. You tell people, hey, I'm in my feelings right now, I don't feel like talking, ain't nothing personal, but it's about me right now. I got to take care of because that's the point. You are number one. And there is no us in you. And that's why a lot of you make your mistakes. Holding on to folks, holding on to situations. Sometimes you got to let it go. That means letting go of that house, letting go of shopping, letting go of eating out every day, which got you in debt. You don't need Starbucks coffee every fucking day. Yeah, I'm going to preach now because somebody needs to hear it. People are in debt for stupid stuff. What I keep trying to tell you. You think you need to be in debt for something that came from China? I said that. Everything you get from Ross, Pottery Barn, Old Time Pottery, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Belks, Profits, Dillard's, whatever the fuck the name of the store is, Walmart. It is mass produced. And if you were to go over to China right now and see that stuff, it don't cost but 10 cents. Come on with it, Queen. Knocking yourself out for some cheap coffee mugs, fuzzy slippers, name brand robe, shirt, pants, purse, so on and so forth. That's why I don't get attached to stuff. And let me tell you, it's peaceful. And you have people who are wealthy, millionaires. They repeat their clothes. They're not in the mall every day buying stuff. They're not online buying stuff. Their house ain't barricaded up with stuff and junk. Prime Videos boxes and Amazon boxes. So that's what you need to think about when you hear these conversations about China spying on us through the phone, TikTok. You're making those people rich off that cheap shit. Somebody may not like what I'm saying because you know I'm talking about you. You're making those people rich off a stupid curtain rod, lamp, sheets, shoes, socks, bras, whatever it is. It's made over there. It's mass produced. So imagine what his credit card bills are made of. Probably a bunch of junk, absolute nothing. Excess shopping, trying to please people, trying to make yourself look like you're well off. And I'll say it again. Everybody is running around, knocking themselves out, going in debt for shit made in China, India, Taiwan, Mexico. Stop me. All for what? Appearances.
towards radicalization. Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Out.
That's the latest from Fox News. Restraining order, second wife, trying to settle a divorce, 3 children. Don't know if they all have the same mother or not. Small boy child, I believe. What a joke. But you hear these stories all the time about people getting themselves in debt for stupid stuff because you have different types of shoppers. And I don't know what his debt was, if it was loans or, maybe he's getting loans for the real estate business. I don't know, but in the end, you got to check yourself. This excessive buying to please whom? Who are you trying to please? Not feeling validated, not feeling loved. Those things will lead you into the abyss. That's why a lot of people shop, because they're unhappy. They want to feel better, so they go buy a ring, they go buy a shoe. Before you know it, shoes ain't got nowhere to go. Coats ain't got nowhere to go. So now stuff is piling up in the floors and they're stacked up at the front door and the hallway. And you ain't got but a pathway in. I know I have family members who's a hoarder. My mother was a hoarder. Name brand stuff piled up in bags, never been opened. Telling you, you don't want that life. You don't want that life. You want to be able to come in your place, walk in, you can turn a cartwheel through your living room to the bedroom. Freedom, space, feng shui. Trust me, it's enjoyable. I love it. I'm not getting attached to earthly things. A lot of people say, well, spin it up. You only live once, can't take it with you. No, you can't take it with you, but I don't want to be miserable while I'm here either. Trying to pay for it. That's what I told Mary. Everybody's addicted to the debit card. You got to spend that damn debit card every time you wake up. You got to find something to buy. I got to go to the store. See, everybody buys stuff different. One person spending their money on crack cocaine, heroin. One person spending their money on beer. One person spending their money on wine. One person spending it on liquor. One person spending it up on cigarettes, tobacco, Mountain Dew, soda pop, Gucci slippers. You see where I'm going? Everybody's different. You can have a nice place with the basic necessities, even if some of it's name brand, but you got to know when to stop. Because in the end, you don't want to leave your house in disarray for others to have to contend with your shit. Whether it's junk, nice stuff, somebody has to contend with that if you ever get hurt, sick, have to go to a nursing home, or die. Because believe me, when you go to heaven, he ain't gonna let you come back here to pack up your house and try to carry it in a fucking dolly up to heaven. I'm just saying. Get it together. We have all types of people out here miserable for various reasons. Unhappy, don't like the way they look, don't like their weight, don't got enough money, don't got enough money to go nowhere, buy nothing, spend nothing. I get it. You want to take a cruise. You want to go overseas. You're sick of looking at people on Facebook taking all these pictures. Oh, they look so pretty. Oh, they look so handsome. They're always going somewhere. They're always traveling. I get it. But what you don't understand about all those people snapping pictures, come on, Queen, testify for the court. And I don't need no lawyer. Them same people that you see snapping pictures all the time, acting like they happy. They over here, they over there, they on a plane, they on a train. They got debt. They barely making the car note. Barely making a house note. Got shit they need to fix around the house. Eating out, doing this, doing that, barely living. Pretty house, pretty cars in the driveway. But see, you don't know that because they ain't telling you all of that. So that's what you need to understand about all them pretty faces on Facebook and IG. Just like what this videos I've been seeing talking about these black hairdressers trying to live like they're Kardashian somebody. Don't even want to wash your hair when you come to their house or the beauty salon. They're not licensed beauticians. They're trying to live that image of love and hip hop and Housewives of Atlanta bullshit. Life is for the living. And sadly, Mr. Jabbar gave up for whatever reason. But my message to you is you don't want to end up like him. Everybody wants something out of life, usually. He had failed ventures. But what he needed to do was dust himself off. Things weren't working out in your demographic, move somewhere else. Go work somewhere else. Go work somewhere else. And see, if he had the business around COVID time, well, we already know a lot of people suffered around COVID time, okay? Because people weren't going to work. People weren't going outside. So a lot of businesses suffered. Big businesses, mom and pop shops. But a lot of people have bounced back. So you got to have your mind right to bounce back. That's also can be a deal breaker. Your mind ain't right. So we don't really know if this man was bipolar, had PTSD, couldn't function, couldn't do what he needed to do to bounce back. See, we don't know him. And as I said before, speaking on a dead man about how he acted at 16, 15, 17, that don't count. He's changed 1,000 different ways from high school up until he mowed those people down New Year's Day. Let's hear what the hospital has to say pertaining to the victims. Welcome to the Vault Excel. Thank you for joining me. This is live number 1, coming back to discuss Sebastian Rogers, 10 months missing, Hendersonville, Tennessee. Mercy, mercy. What a world. Take the polls, everybody, on my community page. Not connected to the Trump hotel bombing. Yes, 0%. No, 17%. Not sure, 22%. Seems strange, very similar, 61%. Jabbar assumed as lone wolf in New Orleans attack. That's the latest from FBI. 25% says, yes, he was a lone wolf. 63% of you say no. 13% say, I'm not sure. Check out that Court TV video where there's footage of him running down that street and barely missing that girl with the red hair. Very scary. Very scary. Let's hear what the doctors have to say. Imagine all these people running into the hospital at the same time. So now hospitals know they're going to have several surgeons on board for emergency care. Drastic situations. Sweet Jesus.
Taking new information, new details about this deadly New Year's Day attack in New Orleans. At least 15 people killed, dozens injured when that driver intentionally sped through a crowd of people celebrating on Bourbon Street on New Year's Eve into the early hours of 2025. The FBI is investigating it as terrorism. And many of the victims are now fighting for their lives, taken to University Medical Center here in New Orleans. And we are joined now by the center's chief medical officer, that is Dr. Jeffrey Elder. Dr. Elder, thank you very much for joining us on what has to be a very difficult morning. You've got all those patients there. Can you give us an update on the number of people still under the care of your doctors there and their general condition?
Sure. As of today, we have 15 patients still in the hospital, and their conditions range from critical to stable.
Meant for the work of your nurses and surgeons there at the hospital?
Yeah, this was a complicated incident. We had a mix of both blunt trauma from the collision with the truck
as well as penetrating trauma from gunshot wounds. So we had a mix of very critical patients that came to our hospital, others that were walking wounded, and we had 26 patients in a matter of minutes show up at our facility that we had to take care of.
26.
You've also got a family reunification process unfolding there at University Medical Center. A reporter for the Times-Picayune, the local paper here in New Orleans, was there for some of it. It was just about as sad as our viewers would expect it to be, but at times uplifting as people were reunited. Can you talk a little bit about how your location came to be the spot for all of this and how the process unfolded?
Yeah, you know, as we really became the epicenter of what was happening on the healthcare side with the hospitals, we had the most number of patients here. We worked with the city of New Orleans and the health department to have space available for those families to come in to try to reunite them with their loved ones that were here, and ultimately have any notifications that needed to be made then here at the hospital with the health department in the city.
You know, Doctor, this was a holiday for the doctors and nurses there at your hospital as well. I imagine New Year's Eve happens, you're celebrating with patients. It's a lighter moment, and then you get this code yellow, and all these patients coming in, all these victims' lives have to be saved. How are the staff of the hospital? I know they're trained. I know this is what they're supposed to do, but they're also people. How are they holding up this morning?
You know, they're holding up well. I mean, this is tough. This is difficult. We take care of patients that are critically injured all the time. But to take care of this number of patients all at once is tough for everybody. You go from having a good night working in the ER to, you know, what could be looked at as mass chaos for a few minutes as you start to get everything together and moving and coordinated. And so, you know, our staff here have done a tremendous job. We had people come in on their days off early in the morning as soon as they heard about it. We had staff that were here caring for our patients. And we're going to continue to take care of our patients, and we're going to continue to take care of our staff that are here so we can continue to perform our mission.
Yeah. Residents here taking care of one another. Dr. Jeffrey Elder, you were born here, raised here. Now you have a very important job this morning, doing it admirably. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. 15 people in the hospital, some critical to stable condition. 14 people unalive by the attacker. His death unalive by law enforcement makes 15 deaths total. 15 in the hospital still. 30 plus people were injured, some walking injured, as you heard the doctor say. 26 people entering the hospital at the same damn time. That's a lot to, digest as a nurse, front desk help, trying to amass who's hurt versus this person needing, a life-threatening injury assessed. That's a lot to deal with. Then people hyperventilating because they're going in shock because they don't know, how serious they're injured. And then we've learned too, people can have an injury and be let go from the hospital. Liam Neeson's wife had a skiing incident, lied down for a couple of hours, took a worse. She ended up dying from her ski incident many years ago. So you never know how things are going to turn out, with a head injury. You may think you're feeling okay, and then the next minute your head won't stop hurting. Then you go back to the hospital. Then next thing you know, they're keeping you there. Because that's one thing we've learned about a lot of sickness and illnesses. People have been sent home because they appeared okay. But we have learned you can have a one-day surgeries, go home, need to go back. Then next thing you know, the person has passed away in the hospital, passed away at the house, passed away en route to the hospital, going back. They still don't feel well. Anything is possible. And yes, doctors do make mistakes. Prayers for those injured. Prayers to the victims, families. Will these victims and the families sue the city of New Orleans? Should they sue? Take the poll. As I said earlier, imagine hearing your ex-husband parent wanted you unalive but chose others instead. One person has commented. Molly says that would be so awful. Can't imagine. I'd feel guilty. I'm going to reply. Yes, indeed. That'd be a hell of a weight to carry. Knowing your family member wanted you dead, but decided to go on a rampage on Bourbon Street to unalive random strangers. Sweet Jesus. Well, I don't see my poll. Hold on one second, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Obviously it didn't go. Hold on. I'll have to repost that poll. Go over to my community page. Okay. Having a problem for some reason. I don't know what's going on. This screen is so sensitive. This iPad, I don't know what is going on. Should victims' families sue City of New Orleans? Okay. Give you your options. Yes, no. Not sure. What'd you say, hon? I do believe the city should be sued. The barricade should have been up. Okay. Yes, they said they had a problem with it. And if they couldn't bring the barricade up, they should have shut down Bourbon Street. Okay. Well, how are they going to shut it down? The barriers to do so. Remember they said they were working on the barriers? So how are they going to shut it down? By what? Placing the cars there? More than one car? What are you saying? Take the polls, everybody. What's your opinion? Let's go to Las Vegas, and then I'm going to check out of here. Live running a little bit longer than I had anticipated. But it's so hard trying to show all this information, but I want to bring you the latest of everything so we can, stay abreast of the situation pertaining to Mr. Jabbar and the victims. Once again, my condolences to the families. My sincerest condolences. I brought you content from Court TV, reporter that went on the scene, Bourbon Street, to show you the scene. Press conference from earlier, doctor from the hospital. Once again, we also didn't bring you this, but I have it on my community page. New Orleans, Bourbon Street reopens after the deadly attack. Feel free to check out that content. The last content is pertaining to the person ID'd in the Tesla bomb in front of the Trump Hotel, Las Vegas. Fox Now is the source. Welcome to the Vault XL. Let's hear what they have to say about this incident. Right now, they're still wanting to verify that the man that was inside of the Tesla is indeed affiliated with the ID found by law officials.
For this investigation. As you look at this cyber truck here, we had to transport this down to our fleet services so that we could really get through this thing. I remind you that the subject inside wasn't able to be investigated for a very long period of time because he was burnt beyond recognition. And so as we continue to move through this, I'm going to talk a little bit about his identity and what we believe, but I would like to highlight a couple of things that the teams found inside of the Cybertruck that are useful to the investigation. And that first and foremost is a military identification. We also found a passport. We found a Desert Eagle 50 caliber semi-automatic pistol. And if you'll notice on a lot of these guns that we're going to talk about here, they're almost just burnt beyond recognition as well. There's a SLR model B30 semi-automatic firearm. Number of fireworks that were still in the vehicle that had to be removed. Notably, we found an iPhone and a smartwatch, and then several credit cards were also in the name of our subject. Our subject.
Let's go here before he gets into the name of the person. Why did he have 2 guns but didn't use them? Number one. What was the motive for the attack? Why the Trump Hotel? Any affiliation with Mr. Jabbar from Texas? Law officials involved in the New Orleans attack says there's no correlation between the two, but they are eerily similar in their background. Both Army, both were at Fort Bragg, both been to Afghanistan allegedly in 2009, both rented cars through the Turo app, both exacted crimes the first of the year. Both were making moves to exact the crimes on Monday the 30th. Stay woke. What are the odds 2 men from Fort Bragg decided to go on suicide missions? Both had to have known they would not be returning back to their home, their cars, their lives. Stay woke. One white, one appears to be African American and or Muslim, Islamic, however you want to word it.
Is 37-year-old Matthew Livelsberger. He's of Colorado Springs, Colorado, born July 22nd of 1987.
Very young.
Now, as you'll see here on a picture of his driver's license, let's see, the question really still remains for me, and I know that there's a lot of you folks in the media that are identifying this person as a person in our vehicle. I mentioned to you already, his body is burnt beyond recognition, and I do still not have confirmation 100% that that is the individual that was inside of our vehicle. And so as I'm calling it now, the subject or person of interest, I will not come back until I have the confirmation, DNA or medical records, that this is indeed, in fact, the subject inside of the vehicle. Now, further complicating this identification of this individual, we also discovered through the coroner's office that the individual had sustained a gunshot wound to the head prior to the detonation of the vehicle. One of the handguns at his feet inside of the vehicle. Obviously, in how we're trying to identify him, and I'm feeling comfortable to give you this information, is a tremendous amount of substantial evidence to include he rented the Turo vehicle. There are 2 tattoos, one of which was on the stomach and one of which is on the arm, that we can see bits and pieces of it as in comparison to what it is that we now know he had on his body, that has given us a lot of confidence that this is, in fact, the same person, as well as the clearly obvious, which is the credit cards, the military identification, the passport. And then furthermore, as you'll see here in just a very short period,
bits and pieces of his remains show similar or exact remnants of tattoos from photographs, passport, ID in the car, credit cards belonging to this man. Okay? Why did he have his passport in the car? Why did he have these personal things in his car? ID is one thing, but why do you need your passport? Did he want to make sure that they recognized him because he knew he was going to be burnt up inside of that Tesla? Stay woke. What was the motivation for having all these fireworks, explosives in the back of the car to detonate? What was the motivation? Why? Same thing with Mr. Jabbar. Why? Do these men know each other? Have these men talked, connected underground, on social media? Is this man also a radical? Is he a part of any type of underground Islamic group, Al-Qaeda, ISIS? Has he made contact with any local people, Colorado, American, abroad? Has he traveled abroad? Did he ever voice his opinions pertaining to anything negative? His life, relationships, U.S. Army, national government, state government? What happened to this guy? Don't know.
Period of time, we tracked his movements from Colorado to Las Vegas, and in a number of the photographs that we were able to determine, he was the individual that was driving the vehicle. And also, I'd like to iterate this point to you. We still have only ever seen him in this vehicle, and we're not aware of any other subjects involved in this particular case.
He's about out of breath, ain't he?
I would like to acknowledge a couple of things because I know what's going on in the social media world, and there are a number of things in this case that are similar to the attack in New Orleans. We do know that our subject here served in the military. In fact, he's a current member of the military. Both of the subjects served at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. What we do know about that is it's a very large military base, and we have no record that they served in the same unit or even at the same years at Fort Bragg, something that continues to remain under investigation. I also know that they both served in Afghanistan in 2009. We don't have any evidence that they were in the same province in Afghanistan, the same location, or the same unit. Again, something else that remains under investigation. And we also know, of course, that they both used the rental company Turo to rent their vehicles. As far as his military background, it's been confirmed by DOD that he was indeed in the United States Army. He was also a Green Beret operations sergeant who spent most of his time at Fort Carson, Colorado, and in Germany. He was in leave from Germany, where he was serving with the 10th Special Forces Group. He was also previously in the National Guard and the Army Reserve. I'd like to point out to you that through exceptional joint investigative effort, we've gotten to a place where we believe we can show you his route to Las Vegas from Colorado, and Carlos will put up the map there for you. That he rented the Cybertruck in Denver on December 28th. We tracked his movements through the Tesla charging stations to Monument, Colorado on December 30th. On the 31st of December, the truck was charged in Trinidad, Colorado, Las Vegas, New Mexico, and Albuquerque and Gallup, New Mexico. On January 1st, the truck was charged in Holbrook, Flagstaff, and Kingman, Arizona. We last tracked the truck in Kingman at 05:33 yesterday morning. The truck was first spotted in Las Vegas at 7:29 a.m. yesterday. And Carlos will pull up a picture of the truck pulling onto Fashion Show Drive here. And that picture was observed at about 7:34 a.m. We know that he pulled into the Trump Valet. And I believe we have a video of that. You can see the Cybertruck highlighted there. So through extensive surveillance video, we were able to track him leaving there, and we know that he went to several different places along Las Vegas Boulevard, and he spent some time in a parking lot of a business near Flamingo and Las Vegas Boulevard. We then have a video of the truck pulling back onto Las Vegas Boulevard from the Sands. You see that there? That's north on the boulevard from Sands at 8:39, where he then immediately heads to the Trump Hotel, pulls into the valet area, And as of course you all know, the explosion occurs within 17 seconds of his arrival at the valet. There's some additional investigative updates that are going to be provided to you by a couple of the other speakers here. The first of which will be our special agent in charge of the FBI local office, Spencer Evans. Spencer.
Good morning. My name is Spencer Evans. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI's Las Vegas division. As the sheriff mentioned, we've been working through the night with our partners, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and other agencies, to gather all the facts and determine a motive to what was initially reported to the FBI as a bombing incident, to which our special agent bomb techs and others responded. Obviously, we're always concerned in these sorts of events to ascertain what the motive is. We understand that's at the forefront of everyone's thoughts. And so looking into exactly what the motivation is remains our #1 priority. This is why the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force has been brought into play. The Joint Terrorism Task Force, most important part of that acronym is joint. It is done in concert with our partners, which are comprised of more than a dozen investigative agencies here throughout the state of Nevada. We've been working hand in glove, side by side, tirelessly to determine, is there any ongoing threat to the public, to identify the subject, to determine any potential connection to other events going on in the world, most notably in New Orleans, and then obviously to determine if there's anything else that we need to be tracking down. At this time, as the sheriff's pointed out, we feel that the subject has been identified, although not conclusively, waiting for DNA evidence on that front. However, we do feel like we have the subject identified, and at this time there is no information about additional subjects that the FBI is tracking on. Our resources, as I mentioned, that have been deployed in support of this event include Special Agent Bomb Techs, our evidence response team, which is processing crime scenes, side by side with the forensics folks from Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, our investigators, our intelligence analysts, and then outside of the FBI Las Vegas field office, we have investigative leads that are being conducted by FBI field officers, both internationally and domestically as well. As always, when the FBI is involved with any sort of case like this, we ask for help for the public. Anyone with information related to this incident, we encourage you to please call 1-800-CALL-FBI, or you can submit a tip online at tips.fbi.gov. We've already received thousands of tips related to this incident. The challenge that we face moving forward is to separate those that are pertinent and relevant and those that can be verified from those that have not. For example, one of the tips that we received just today relates to information alluding to this subject's personal experiences related to his time and activity in the military. Again, that's unverified and uncorroborated, but one of many tips and leads that we will be following up in the days that come. If you have any additional information, again, encourage everyone, 1-800-CALL-FBI, or submit it online, tips.fbi.gov. We will tirelessly work to exhaust all investigative leads and conclusively determine what the nature of this particular incident was, what the motivation was, and to the extent possible, share all that information as we obtain it. I'll now turn some time over to the Assistant Special Agent in charge from the ATF, Kenny Cooper.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kenny Cooper. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge of ATF San Francisco Field Division. ATF is bringing our expertise in post-blast investigations and our crime gun intelligence to specifically assist in this investigation. I will tell you that our Special Agent Bomb Techs are working with FBI and with Las Vegas Metro and sifting through that post-blast debris to find components and investigative leads that will derive from that evidence process. We're too early into that investigation process to give any determination as far as how this device was initiated. I will say that we do know that the components primarily consist of fireworks, mortars, aerial shells, and are all consumer fireworks. Nothing commercial grade has been discovered at this point, and we've identified some fuel enhancers like the Coleman fuel and VP racing fuel, and some explosive targets that can be purchased at any sporting goods store. We've also, as the sheriff mentioned, we've identified 2 semi-automatic handguns recovered from the Tesla. We have successfully traced those firearms, and I can tell you that Matthew Livelsberg lawfully purchased both of these firearms on December 30th, 2024. We have agents following up those investigative leads. We know exactly where those firearms were purchased, and we will share any developments from those leads as they come in. Thank you.
Hello?
Intermission, weigh in. All the ID, passport are the same. Is this the suspect who was found burned up inside of the Cybertruck in front of the Trump Hotel? Is he the same guy? FBI wants confirmation, but they do believe more than likely it is him, but they want confirmation. Wow, what a mess.
We also have the Clark County Fire Chief here, John Steinbeck, questions as well. With that, I'd just like to say before I take a couple questions from all of you, you'll notice that we're releasing information that we haven't corroborated and verified. We're very well aware of all of the things that are going around on social media. But that's just the way we're going to conduct this investigation. We're not putting it out until we can tell you for a fact what information it is that we're putting out. And so we're going to continue to do that. But I'm also confident to tell the Las Vegas community and this great nation that we don't believe there's any further threat from this subject or anybody associated to him here in Las Vegas. With that, Denise, I saw you had your hand up. If you could just identify yourself, please.
Did this suspect have any other connections to Las Vegas? Had he ever been here before, or any reason to be here?
So the question was, did the subject have any ties to Las Vegas, or had he ever been here before? I do believe we had one instance a number of years ago where he stayed at a local hotel, but we're still trying to verify that information as well. Sir?
The David Charles alias TV.
What kind of incident was that? Domestic? Inebriated, argument with hotel staff, a person in the street, mall, store, family member? What are you saying? Why not just tell us what the damn incident was? Read us the police report. What's the big deal? What was the incident? Does he have a criminal record? Anywhere in the United States? Colorado, married, children? Heterosexual, homosexual, any ties to ISIS, Al-Qaeda, any underground groups? Has he talked to our Mr. Jabbar? Stay woke. What are the odds? Both, as I said, Army, different types of sergeants, the military. Did not hear that he was dishonorably discharged, was active, from my understanding. So, what are we saying here? Jabbar, he was honorably discharged. Both making moves around the country to make their way to destinations to wreak havoc on Monday, the 30th. Both dead. Both served at Fort Bragg, stationed at Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty. Stay woke. But yet you all say neither is connected. Interesting.
There was, you have a gentleman in a Cybertruck, Trump Hotel. There's information that the FBI was in Colorado Springs last night, possibly at this gentleman's home. Any information about why?
I think I'll let Spencer answer that question.
So as I mentioned, the motivation at this point is unknown. We are, as I mentioned earlier, following investigative leads both domestically and internationally as well. And so that includes search warrants and witness interviews, collecting forensic information, and basically trying to compile the facts. And so there's investigative activity taking place literally around the globe, trying to determine what the potential nexus is. But at this time, at this particular moment in time, as the sheriff aptly said, we have to focus on what we know and what we don't know. We know we have a bombing, absolutely, and it's a bombing that certainly has factors that raise concern. It's not lost on us that it's in front of, of the Trump building, that it's a test vehicle, but we don't have information at this point that definitively tells us or suggests it was because of this particular ideology or the, any of the reasoning behind it. That's the purpose of the investigation that we're conducting, is to get to the bottom of exactly what happened, why and how.
Sir.
typical to a KBC of Los Angeles. You mentioned a number of similarities between this case and what in New Orleans. How far in the process do you guys go to try to rule out that they are connected, knowing that you already have a couple of things that seem to connect them together?
So the question is how are we working to rule in or rule out any connections to the New Orleans event? And the answer to that is every tip and lead that comes in, every piece of evidence that comes in, we don't discount it, we work it through it. You know, it's an interesting thing during these kinds of investigations that if these turn out to be simply similarities, very strange similarities to have. And so we're not prepared to rule it.
Exactly. He says it, they don't say it in New Orleans, but he says it here in Las Vegas. Very strange. Exactly. Now, we have heard of crazy circumstances of people passing each other in a mall, a store, sitting across each other in a deli. They strike up a conversation. They're both from California or New York. Maybe one lived on this street, one lived around the corner, but they've never met, aren't friends, don't know each other's friends or associates back in New York or Cali, Idaho, wherever. Just they happen to be crossing paths in the same peripheral. What are the odds? But we have a strange phenomena here. We're talking about mayhem and death. Both stationed at the same place, both were in the military, the Army, both served in Afghanistan, and you're putting it at 2009. That's very coincidental. So whether they knew each other or not at Fort Bragg, formerly Fort Bragg, what are the odds they happen to be in Afghanistan at the same damn time? Shut up, Queen. I'm just saying. They rented a car to wreak havoc from the same app, Turo, when you can rent a car anywhere. Budget, Enterprise, those are the most popular places to rent cars, not a damn app. I said that. Never even heard of Turo until this incident with Mr. Jabbar. Learn something new every day. And then this incident at the Trump Hotel, ding, 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 same app. So hell yeah, it's strange, similar.
Rule in or rule out anything at this point. There's lots more for us to do in this investigation. We haven't even gotten into the phones or the computers, which are usually very, very instructive and informative to us as we investigate. And we've got a lot more work to do to trace him, to see the stores that he went to rule out anybody else. Lots and lots of investigative work to do. And we're just trying to give you an update on what we know now. That is factual.
What's wrong with these burger buns?
Brief intermission. What are the odds? Weigh in. Next live stream, Sebastian Rogers. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining me. 2-hour plus live stream. Breaking news, everybody. Breaking news.
AP, was the gunshot wound to his head self-inflicted?
We believe the question is, was the gunshot self-inflicted? And we do believe it was, since he was the only person in the vehicle, and it occurred immediately prior to the vehicle blowing up. Back there, sir?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. Nobody else coming and going around the car, in and out of the car.
Are you comfortable now calling this a suicide mission?
The question is, am I comfortable calling it a suicide mission? I'm comfortable calling it a suicide with the bombing that occurred immediately thereafter. I'm not giving it any other labels.
And with the family you've spoken to so far, have they shared any prior red flags?
The question is, did we have any of the family members share any particular red flags? Again, I'll go back to what I know is circulating on social media, but none of that has been verified at this point.
And final question, real quickly. All the components you found inside the Cybertruck, were they all purchased in Colorado?
The question is, were all the components found inside of the Cybertruck purchased in Colorado? And I don't know the answer to that. That's part of why we're doing the extensive part of the investigation.
Neil, Associated Press, can you talk about the security measures you have in place at the hotel now?
So, as you all know, we had just successfully completed a New Year's Eve event where hundreds of thousands of people come to Las Vegas. I've extended our posture just like it is for a New Year's Eve event, where I have thousands of police officers that are working day in and day out. Obviously, dozens and dozens of people that are working on this investigation as well. We'll continue to look at what that security posture looks like, but I'm confident in the safety of our community as we move forward. Go ahead in the middle there.
Sean Water, Channel 13 here in Las Vegas, ABC. Did Luxembourg have any sort of criminal record at all? Also, do you know when that Turo vehicle was rented?
The question was, is there any criminal record? None that I'm aware of. That has not been brought to my attention that he had a criminal record. And I said that the Cybertruck was rented on December 28th in Denver, Colorado. Right here.
Hi, Stephanie Price, Fox News.
Hi.
Have you guys been able to verify that he checked into the Resort World Hotel the day before this?
The question is, do we know if he checked into the Resorts World the day before this? I'm not aware of that information. Sir?
Mike on Fox 5 Vegas, you mentioned increased security presence at the Trump International. That will extend further along the strip, or is it just there? And how long do you anticipate that?
The question is generally about the security posture, and that's entirely our entire community, not only Fremont Street and the Strip, but surrounding neighborhoods as well, just to make sure that we have the community feeling that level of safety that they need to feel after an event such as this. Right next to you there.
Katie from the Las Vegas Review. How exactly were you guys able to use the charging stations to track the cars through?
The question is, how were we able to use the charging stations to track the vehicle all the way through? And I'm not exactly sure how to answer that question just yet. I know that there's some capability by being able to determine that the car is connected to the charger. One of the things that we're looking for is anybody that may have been at the charging location at the same time. We're looking to try to identify them because their vehicles would have also had cameras that would have taped anybody in and around them. We're trying to get people that may have been in the same locations at the same time that have video on their vehicle that could provide that video to us as well. I'll take two more. Go ahead.
Can you talk about the damage being contained by the Cybertruck itself, and do you think that plays into whether he was aiming to hurt others or was it a public suicide?
Yeah, the question is about the Cybertruck and the lack of damage to the Cybertruck and containing the explosion. Carlos, if you could put that truck back up there, it might be helpful. But you know, you'll see if you look on the outside of that vehicle, it's hard to tell from that photograph, but other than the windows being gone, that's a bit more disassembled than it was at the scene, and the back area being blown off. There's no evidence of physical damage to the sides of that vehicle, and so the explosion that was in that vehicle sort of vented out and up, but it didn't even damage the glass doors at the trunk. So I'm not sure what that means. I also know that there's a number of unexploded pieces of the things that he had inside of that. And so I just don't think that it was done as well as he was expecting it to be done. But go ahead.
Well, FBI said it wasn't sophisticated for his experience.
Recover the video from the Cybertruck, or was that destructive?
So the question is, are we able to recover the video from the Cybertruck?
So obviously the car didn't just blow all the way up. How bad was? They said the body was burned, I think, beyond recognition. So what was his plan? Because as I said, he had artillery in the car, but he didn't use it except for possibly on himself. They don't believe no one else came in, got out of the car, pulls up, camera shows it pulling up and then detonating, nobody else involved. At that point of impact of the explosion. So what was the purpose of having two guns? What did he plan to do? What was his plan? What was the motive? Why Trump Hotel? Is this because he didn't like Trump, didn't want him in office, don't want him going into office as new president, mad at the government? What? State, local, federal? What are we saying? Was he sending a message? Will there be more messages sent by people in general pertaining to the presidency, upcoming presidency of Mr. Trump? Might as well ask that. There have been a few attempts towards this man's life. Perhaps he don't take it serious. Maybe he should. But naturally, Mr. Trump wasn't there. But just saying, there's a reason for the season. He was there for a reason. He could have picked many places to detonate himself inside of a vehicle. Why there? What was the message he was trying to send? Will they find a manifesto, documents, information on iPads, phones, pertaining to his ideology, his thought process, what he was going through, married, dating, children, where his parents, who has something to say about who he is, who he was as a person, ideologies, mental situation, bipolar, schizophrenic, mental disease. How did he work alongside men and women in the military? Also, his job. What was he like as an employee? Thousands of questions to ask. Where is his home? Colorado, apartment, trailer, shed, living alone, dog, cat, living will. Who did he last talk to? Did he tell anybody he was suicidal? Ideologies, did he tell anybody? Did anybody alert authorities that something was wrong with him, talking crazy, out of turn? Social media posts, once again, what has he posted lately? Will we find out there is a connection between he and Mr. Jabbar or any associates that they know each other? Ah, interesting.
Cybertruck, and many of you may know that those Cybertrucks contain a tremendous number of cameras. Mr. Musk has sent out a number of his folks that will be arriving here this afternoon with the intent to try to capture the part of that captured all of the video from inside of the truck. Sir?
Just quickly, you had mentioned a number of the components in the back of the truck that did not go off. Maybe this is a better suited question for ATF, but when it comes to the rudimentary nature of the bomb, I think we mostly think of a bomb that is connected. This seems like individual kind of incendiary and combustible components put together. Can you speak to how you think this is a bomb, or was it just several pieces of things that might blow up and might explode that were just lit and gone off at the same time?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it does appear that it was I just want to be careful with my language here, but the level of sophistication is not what we...
Well, what is his military experience? Obviously, you all are saying that this was not sophisticated, blow all the way up. Certain things were not completely destroyed in the Tesla. What is you trying to say about his work experience, work ethic? What are we going to find out about his employment, work in the military? What are we going to find out? Once again, any ties to Mr. Jabbar from Houston, Texas?
Were fuel to help fuel a greater explosion. But it's too early to answer any question is if there would... I just want to be careful with my language here, but the level of sophistication is not what we would expect from an individual with this type of military experience. That most of the materials inside that Tesla were fuel to help fuel a greater explosion. But it's too early to answer any question is if there was sophisticated connectivity to those components to make it ignite in the way that it did.
All right, there was one last hand over here. I'll take your last question.
So maybe this is for Special Agent Evans, Mike Carter, Newsmax. Any idea if the suspect has been in touch with any outside terrorist groups? Has this investigation extended globally?
The question is, do we know whether the subject's been in touch with any outside terrorist groups or if it's been investigated globally? And Spencer, you want me to? Okay.
So the question about whether it's being investigated globally, absolutely. Like I said, we're running down investigative leads around the world. No information that we're aware of right now that connects this individual to any terrorist organization around the world. But that's obviously the thrust of the investigation, is ruling out that there's any sort of terrorism nexus, and then again getting at what the ideology is.
We appreciate you all coming, and we will be back before you when there's substantial updates to provide to you. Thanks for all your great work.
You're just listening in there to Las Vegas.
Connection, no connection. Where is this case going? Out of Las Vegas. Is it connected to Jabbar? Did they know each other? Talk? Share any type of information? What is the truth? Please go to this case here out of Las Vegas, and also Jabbar from Houston, Texas, New Orleans. Prayers for New Orleans. Sugar Bowl took place today. Notre Dame won 23, Georgia 10. Things are up and running in New Orleans. Bourbon Street reopened, so people can move about. Should the streets have been reopened? Should the victims who are injured and those who are deceased, their family members of the deceased, should they sue the city of New Orleans because there were no barricades up? I've already asked you questions pertaining to breaking news. I'm going to go over some of those, and then the next slide we will recap any questions. Hold on, I'm trying to post right now a question pertaining to Sebastian Rogers. I don't know what's going on. One second, everybody. I think I'm getting tired. That's what's going on. She was not typing for some reason. Yeah, getting tired. What's the truth about Mr. Matthew Allen Livelsberger? Is he affiliated with Mr. Jabbar from Houston, Texas? Will we find out there is a connection? Some underground type of connection. Leaders believe there is a connection. The next live stream will be pertaining to Sebastian Rogers. He's been currently missing 10 months now from Rogersville, Tennessee. He's 15 at the time of his disappearance. Day in December of 2024, where he would have turned 16 years of age. I asked you all the pertinent questions pertaining to his disappearance in my live streams, and also I've put up polls pertaining to the current situation, which we don't have any information, just a lot of he said, she said, videos being released. So I'm going to ask you again. It's 10 months later. Is the child alive? 3 people voted on that poll. 1 second, please. I'm about to throw this iPad out because it's really getting on my nerve. Well, was 3 votes, now 1 vote. I don't know what's going on. Yes, 100%. Is Ellie investigating Sebastian Rogers as a investigation? %, yes, 17% no, 17% not sure, should be 17%. Will Sebastian Rogers' case be solved? 38% yes, 25% no, 38% not sure, no time soon, 0%. Lord have mercy. What a mess. What a mess. I don't know what is wrong with this screen. It just won't stay put. It's crazy. I don't know, between phone, devices buffering, and all of that. I'm just gonna go to my community page while I'm on here, because this iPad, I'm getting ready to dump her. I don't have time for the nonsense. Give it to a kid on the street. I'm not fooling with that thing anymore. The thing is, it's never behaved since purchasing it 3 years ago. Christmas. I don't have time for that nonsense. Y'all know how Queen rocks. I don't like complications. And that's to me a sign anyway. You don't need to be messing with all these devices. Checking in this device, registering this device on the Wi-Fi, all this stuff about China hacking stuff. I don't have time for all that nonsense. One person voted they do believe the child is alive. Is this a criminal investigation pertaining to Sebastian? 43% yes, 14% no, 14% not sure, 29% should be, 7 votes. Do they have suspects? 27% yes, no, 9%, 27% not sure. That's a tie between yes and not sure. If not, they should, 36%. Will the case be solved? 33% yes, 22% no, 44% not sure, 9% no time soon. Weigh in. Sebastian missing 10 months now. Is the man found deceased in Las Vegas Cybertruck bombing the suspect? The man found inside of the Cybertruck in Las Vegas, is he the suspect? Yes, 75%. 25% no, 0% not sure, 0% most likely. Should victims' families sue the city of New Orleans for attack? 90% yes, 10% no. 10 votes. Once again, imagine hearing your ex-husband parent wanting you unalive but chose others instead. Is FBI properly investigating New Orleans attack? 43% yes, 37% no, 20% not sure. And I also gave you the option of mistakes were made, but better now. 0%, 30 votes. I want to thank you for your time. When I get more information pertaining to Mr. Jabbar and this case out of New Orleans, also the suspect or the guy deemed the suspect in the Cybertruck Tesla in Las Vegas, I'll bring you that update as well. Once again, prayers for all the victims in the New Orleans attack. Prayers that they heal and get better. God bless their mindset, their spirit, and their recovery. Prayers to the families who have to bury these people and eventually move on from this catastrophe. But once again, will they sue the city of New Orleans for not having any barricades up? Some of you believe they should sue the city. They are diligent alongside with the mayor, FBI, that they will continue to investigate this case to see where it leads, where it goes, data, blueprint of Mr. Jabbar, and if indeed there are other people involved. Do you believe there are other people involved? Right now, they're saying so far they don't have any evidence that anyone else is involved, but naturally they're still investigating, so anything can change at a moment's notice. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below this video. Take the polls on my community page. Also follow the Queen on the Newsbreak app. And if you like to donate to this great network and the dream, $Angie129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. I will be back shortly with live number 2, Sebastian Rogers. It has been 6 months on December 26th of 2024 that he went missing out of his home, allegedly, February 26th of 2024. Did he go missing from that said home? Did he arrive home from the steakhouse with his biological mother? What happened to this child? Information about scent dogs, scent. Ellie says he never came out of the house. No one broke into the house. So if he never left the house, then you have to ask yourself, did he make it home? And when they say he never left, are they saying he never left by foot? Or he was possibly carried out by another human, alive or deceased, but we're not saying. But then that's contradictory and confusing, because when you say a person never left, that alludes to what? They never left by foot, it wasn't carried out by either being alive or deceased. That's why people want things explained thoroughly. What do you mean law enforcement, sheriff's department? He never came out, he never left. He didn't walk out, he didn't run away, he wasn't carried out, alive or deceased. So then people are going to wonder, did he ever make it home? Do you have evidence that Sebastian Rogers made it home Sunday, February 25th, 2024? That's my commentary. I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Thank you for joining me. You have been listening to the Vault XL, Prayers for New Orleans.